Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I wanted to preface the video before we move on. This video is going to be on my journey from going unemployed to making a six-figure salary. I talked about this on my Twitch stream. If you guys are not following me on Twitch, make sure you guys follow me down below in the description. The link will be there. But on this Twitch stream I did a couple days ago from the time of this recording, I talked about it with the chats, and so I wanted to give some context. This will be a two-parter, since the first part of that Twitch stream I talked about my journey, and then the next video that I will be putting out is going to be on my thoughts and how I see my transition from going from a front-end focus to a data engineering focus. That's why there will be somewhat of a hard cut at the very end, but expect a part 2 of this journey in another video where I go over the similarities that I see between front-end and data engineering, some differences, how I have been transitioning, how I see it, and then I answer some questions from the chat as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. And then was completely unemployed through pretty much all of the rest of 2020. I think I got laid off in like June. So I then dedicated most of my time to learning and building projects and documenting that on YouTube, on Instagram, and then eventually on Twitch, Twitter, things like that. And then I started a podcast. So I was doing all content creation, which comes into play later in the story. So I was doing that, and then eventually started doing React stuff. You know, started building projects with React, learning React, things like that. And then that led into React Native, building mobile apps with React Native, which I'm doing now off on the side. And, you know, obviously that's all front-end focus. So all my context at that moment in time is front-end focused. And, you know, kept going, you know, I started to doubt everything about the journey. Obviously those thoughts come into my mind when you're going through it and you still don't have a job, because you see all the articles about people who are getting jobs in 3 months, 6 months, 2 weeks, crazy stuff like that. And then, you know, I eventually started streaming later in 2020, me doing leak code. And that was on YouTube, and then eventually led to Twitch. And I started getting traction through that. A lot of people were curious about my interview prep, how I was doing leak code stuff, things like that. And it was kind of interesting. Some of you may have been there for those streams, but I was streaming that a lot. And woohoo! Like, it was a crazy time because leak code was not something that I was strong in. I was working every single day to try and get better at it. And then eventually someone that I follow on Twitter landed on my Twitch channel and literally was like in the chat, hit me up on Twitter after you're done streaming and then we'll talk. I was like, cool. And hit him up on Twitter, and he offered me a job, which would eventually turn into my first role in the developer space as a developer support engineer at Plaid. So I got the offer. I started interviewing around, you know, late January, beginning of February. And I then got the offer on my birthday in February and started my job as a developer support engineer on March, I believe. I think I started in March, like March 2nd or something. So I started that and learned a ton about APIs, learned so much more about React and React Native. Like so we had two SDKs that was really on React and React Native. So we had a lot of companies and developers that were using our SDKs, and as a developer support engineer, you can kind of see a bridge of that with IT. Developer support engineers are really just support or help desk people for developers. And so people would create tickets through the Plaid website, and we would get those tickets through Zendesk, and I'd have to answer those questions. And, you know, it was great. I was learning a ton. A lot of difficult questions would come through, obviously some repetitive ones, but it always kept me on my toes. It gave me more time with React, even though I was working full time, and I started learning a ton. I started learning a lot more. I started building tools a lot more because I saw a lack of tooling for us as a team, where some people may have not been well versed in React or didn't really understand it, or setting up an environment in React Native was already super hard. So I wanted to help in that front. And through that, I started learning a ton. I started then streaming some more side projects off on the side with React and React Native. That's how Toodaloo was spawned. That's how Ko-Fi was spawned, was just learning so much more about React Native and learning more about like what goes into building a ready, production ready app. I'm still learning so much about building production ready stuff, but that kind of started that process, right? And this is all through 2021. And now fast forward, we go to late 2021, early 2022. That's when I was like, I kind of want more. I want to build more. I was looking at applications of trying to get into our mobile team at Plaid to become a mobile engineer. And then opportunities started spawning through the Twitch stream to become a developer advocate. I'm creating a video on what a developer advocate is, but that is what my current job is right now, exclamation point job for anyone that's new here. And I was looking into that because I really wanted to create content. That's really what I wanted to do. What's up, Young Guns? That's what I wanted to do. That's what I have a passion for, is Twitch streaming. It's creating YouTube videos, all that stuff. And developer advocacy allows me to do that. So I was looking into that. I started interviewing at a couple companies, or well, one company at the time that was an e-commerce platform that was using JavaScript. So it would have been front end focused. And then Krishan, who is now my coworker, hit me up and was like, hey, I'm working at this company, Airbyte, and I think you'd be a great fit here. And the focus and the product itself was in data engineering and ELT pipelines. So it was not in the front end focus at all. I have zero context of what a data engineer at the time, what data engineers do, what their tasks are, what tools are available to data engineers, or the ecosystem and things like that. I have zero context, but I started interviewing anyways. I got an offer from the first company while I was interviewing at Airbyte. So my interview process got accelerated because I had a competing offer. And so I go through the interview at Airbyte and eventually get an offer as well. And I accepted the Airbyte offer, obviously. And the reason I did that is because I see the transition from going from a front-end focus to data engineering as very, very challenging. As someone who's self-taught, I want a challenge. I want to grow as an individual and as a developer. And, right, my YouTube and my Instagram, my Twitter are primarily focused on my journey specifically. And now, you get to get a perspective of how I see front end and how I see data engineering, and see like what the topic is of today is my transition. All right, so that's gonna do it for the video today. Thank you guys for watching all the way through if you made it to the end. Like I said, this will be a two-parter, so expect another video and a follow-up on this topic, like I said, which is going to be on my thoughts on my transition from front-end focus to data engineering now. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.